I want to welcome everyone to College Football Rundown, your Saturday edition, here as the 2013 football season gets underway, Jeremy. And a couple of games on Thursday and Friday night kind of took a little bit by surprise. I was really interested to see how Ole Miss bounced back. It looked like Vanderbilt had won the football game, but Jeremy, to everybody's surprise, Ole Miss scored with about a minute 10 to go, and that was all she wrote. What was your impressions of that game?
My impressions of that game, even though Vanderbilt lost, Jordan Matthews is a stud. And we knew that already. But the man gets absolutely just drilled on a play, and it gets really sick on the field. And then just a play later, he's back in and makes a crucial 4th and 18 catch for 42 yards and sets up what looked to be the winning score. But it turned out not to be when Jeff Scott ran for 75 yards for a winning score. So that was some game to open up the SEC conference schedule. That was exciting.
That was very exciting. And then the next night, of course, last night, on Friday night, Kansas State hosted North Dakota State, who won the FCS championship last year. And to their avail, they were able to escape with a win. That was a big win for their program. But where does Kansas State go from here now?
Well, Kansas State, a lot of times we see these things kind of happen. Virginia Tech a couple of years ago lost to two very bad teams at the beginning of the year, one of them being William and Mary.
Yeah.
And they went on to win 10 games in a row after starting 0-2 and losing to two bad teams. So I know Kansas State did come out not prepared for this game, but North Dakota State is the defending FCS national champion. So they are a good team, but just seemed like Kansas State didn't take them seriously. I still see them to have a pretty good year, win 8, 9, possibly 10 games, but they just didn't come out ready to play in this game. But I look for them to still have a good year.
And today was no different as we open up the season and college game day, everything like that. But let's go into Georgia Clemson tonight. Everybody's excited about the primetime game tonight. Can Mark Richt and this Georgia team start the season 1-0 instead of 0-1? It's been a monkey on their back for quite some time, Jeremy. What can they do to avoid that 0-1 mark again?
Exactly, and then they've got to come out ready to play, of course. Last year they did open the season against Buffalo, so they did start 1-0 last year pretty easily, but it's a little bit different tale. It reminds me of the year when Georgia faced Boise State to open the year, but I think this is even a tougher game than that, possibly, because they're having to go on the road. That game against Boise was in Atlanta with a pretty big-time pro-Georgia crowd. So this is definitely going to be a tough environment. Last report, it was raining in Clemson, which is definitely a huge advantage for the Georgia running game over the passing game of Clemson, for sure. So Georgia, definitely, like you said, has had the issue of coming out in big games, especially early in the year. But they know how close they came to a national championship berth, facing Notre Dame for that national title, and they tasted it. They were just yards away, seconds away. They want that again, and this team is definitely more than talented and more than capable of getting back there. But they've got to beat Clemson in this game to be able to move to that next step and to make that game against South Carolina next week not just SEC meaningful, but national title meaningful as well.
And South Carolina won their game Thursday night against North Carolina 27-10. But Alabama now trying to start their three-peat tonight against Virginia Tech and Atlanta. And Jeremy, everybody knows there's no crystal ball out there that this Alabama team is very talented and very capable of doing just that. What does Nick Saban and company have to do to keep their mind on the right track and to get this third national championship?
Keep doing the thing they've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. And I know that may seem kind of like a simple answer, but Look at this team over the past 5 years. They've won 3 of the last 4 national championships. They have averaged 10 to 11 wins per season over the past 5 years. This team has been a model consistency of how you want to run a football program. I mean, there's no better coach out there right now than Nick Saban. There's no question about that. He has 4 national championships on his resume with 2 different schools. So he's an incredible coach, and he does not let his team get too excited. I mean, even if they're ahead by 30 points with a minute to go, he is still coaching till the very last second of every game, and that's what you got to admire about the guy, because he never stops. And even when the game is over, all he's doing is looking forward to the next game. The only time you ever see the man smile is if they get to the national championship and win, and then you see a little grin, and then it's back to business. That's what makes this program so successful, and that's why they will continue to be that way for many years to come.
Yeah. Just an update on a game that we just saw across the scoreboard. Louisiana Lafayette just scored a touchdown, so that ties the game 7-7 with Arkansas. And speaking of Arkansas, Brett Bielema comes in to this program from Wisconsin, had a lot of success running the football. They look to do just that at Arkansas. What does Brett Bielema have to do to get Arkansas back to the top in the West and continue again?
Well, he's got to definitely get do the job recruiting. He's got to get those guys in. I mean, he got players like just for an example, Amani Ball up there in Wisconsin, who was a fantastic running back, Heisman contender for a couple of seasons. But so far for the 2014 campaign, he's not doing so well in recruiting. Matter of fact, he's behind another first-year head coach in the SEC, Mark Stoops, who's in the top 15. Yeah, so Brett Bielema, if he definitely wants to bring Arkansas back, he's definitely got to get out there on the recruiting and definitely get some of those top players to be able to bring that program back up toward prominence.
Speaking of other first head coaches in the conference, Gus Malzahn, Butch Jones, Mark Stoops both have their first games tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how these teams fare out. Right now, going on ABC in Nashville, Mississippi State and Oklahoma State. Mississippi State right now 3-0. Oklahoma State actually getting ready to score on the 1 yard line. But Dan Mullins and this team had some success last year starting out the football season. Didn't end up quite as good as they wanted to. But what does Dan Mullins and this team have to do to get over that hump?
Well, there's no pressure on this team this year. They're picked to finish next to last in the West. So they're obviously not ranked coming in preseason like they have been in some years past. This team basically just has to come out every week and play loose because they really at this point have nothing to lose because nobody's picking them. Nobody's looking at them as a threat.
Right.
And if they come out and if week 1 they beat number 13 Oklahoma State, I know the rankings in preseason are a little bit skewed because we don't even know if this team is the number 13 team in the country right now.
Right.
But it definitely would be a fantastic win for this program if they shock some people today.
Let's not forget LSU TCU tonight. We're going to keep you updated. We will be back tonight to do a college football rundown of the games ending tonight. So I want to thank everybody for joining us here on this special preview. I'm Glenn Shaw alongside Jared Smith for College Football Rundown. Enjoy the games, everybody.